Good evening and welcome to the YSU Alumni Series. I'm so honored that we have in the house Miss Carmella Marie Williams. My name is Jayetta Jackson. I am a senior lecturer in the communications department at Youngstown State University. I'm also the owner, director, and trainer of One-to-One Communication Consulting, a company that trains others in diversity, inclusion, and equity. We are speaking tonight with Miss Carmella Marie. Carmella Marie is a 2005 graduate. 2005 graduate? Am I right about that?
That's right.
Okay, 2005 graduate of Youngstown State University. She is the Director of Diversity and Inclusion at the Youngstown Business Incubator, where she manages both the Minority Business Assistance Center and the Women Entrepreneurship Program. She is also the owner and kitchen chemist of Carmella Marie Inc. She started this natural hair company in June 2013. Carmella turned her passion for helping women realize their true self into a business by hosting Let's Talk Hair sessions and eventually creating a full natural hair care line offering 8 products and counting. And I use them too. I love them. And these products can be purchased in various stores around town and online. Tonight, Carmella will discuss her story about how entrepreneurship builds confidence and how it helps you to develop meaningful leadership skills. So first of all, I just want to say welcome.
Thank you so much for having me, Jayetta.
You are so welcome. I want to ask my first question just to kind of see your background a little bit, but how did you come up with the framework of how you empower people through entrepreneurship? What does that mean?
Yeah, so first I like to definition of each of those terms, right? So an entrepreneur is a type of leader who sees a problem and actually creates a solution for that problem, right? And gets paid to do so. So that's an entrepreneur. And that entrepreneur is in and of itself a leader, right? If we have to see ourselves as leaders, it's very important because an entrepreneur is basically taking the initiative to solve the problem, which I do use that as a definition of a leader. So that's one. And then empowering, the word empowering means giving power to, and I know that we start off with giving power to, but eventually, and I'm going to go over that a little bit, as time goes on and confidence is built, that entrepreneur becomes self-empowered, right? They have to use outside stimuli. They are powered from within. right? So that in and of itself is just a mindset. Okay. And a mindset is a way of life, how you see things. And Dr. Homer Warren, who was my favorite business professor at Youngstown State University, he's retired now, but he always talked about the consumer mindset versus the producer mindset, right? And for that, a producer mindset is empowering people, is basically moving individuals from being consumer mindset focused to producer mindset focused. And regardless if you're actually in business selling a product, entrepreneurship in and of itself is a mindset. Okay. And most
Right.
people fall into one either or category. So I'll just real quick what a consumer is. A consumer normally is like spoon fed different things, right? So to give you an example, and I'm sure you'll be able to identify with this. As a kid growing up, you know, I would see the golden arches and immediately I thought of Happy Meal, my mouth water. And I'd be like, Mommy, I want that because, and it's not, you know, we want it because it tastes good. It's a feel good food and it has a toy. You know, we don't think about it. Even as adults growing up, you know, we see most restaurants have red in it because it actually causes us to be and want and desire food. So with that said, we react, right, to what
Right.
we're normally fed. A producer actually responds, right? So now as a, you know, adult, and when I see the golden arches, I don't think that my mouth doesn't water. I think that, you know, that's high cholesterol. That's not good for me. I need to get
Right.
together. I'm going to go make a healthier version of a burger using grounded chicken or turkey and still have a much yummier, healthier option than what McDonald's could give me. As you can see, I produce something to solve a problem and make it better for me. So that is how we, you know, that's my concept that I kind of go off of. And with that, I understand those are the two worlds, right? So when some of my women, because I do counsel a lot of women, we did the women's program. You know, a lot of women come to the program and they're fed that they have to be perfect. You know, and you can identify with this. You know, I don't have any children, so they're like, when are you having kids? When you get married? You know, why don't you dye your hair because you have gray? You know, all these things that people ask questions of us, and it makes us it kind of is like a microaggression that makes us feel a little, it just touts at us, right? It just beats at us just a little bit, right? So there's this confidence piece, right? But in entrepreneurship, it's going to show you everything. It is going to be a journey for you to know who you are. It will reveal to you who you are. And who you are is an individual with skill set, an individual who has a passion, and someone who can run a business, right? All you
Right.
need are people who can say words to you that eventually feeding you words, right? Such as you deserve to win, you are a great person, you have the skill sets, you have all the tools necessary, you know, to move you in consumer, right? So I'm feeding you these words, these positive affirmations to a point where you're able to feed yourself. And
Right.
you don't
Right.
need Carmella to tell you, right? Now you're just like, I can do this. I've had a success. I remember what that success was and how I achieved that success. And if I can do that, I can do it again. So that's kind of how I look at empowering, you know, individuals through entrepreneurship.
So do you give that message when people come to the YBI?
I do. And it's not, and you know, it's very subtle. Everything is very subtle, so no one feels as if it's being shoved down your throat. I actually assess everyone that comes through the door, whether you're my client or not, to see where you are. And I consider myself a leader, and as a good leader, I see where you are. I hear where you tell me you want to go, but based upon the gap, I know this is what I'm going to have to do to get you to reach that goal.
Right. Right. So how did that lead you into Carmella Marie Inc.?
Yeah. So at the time, I was laid off from Youngstown State University. I was employed there for 12 years. And that summer, I was trying to figure out, you know, what it was I was going to do with my life because I wasn't going to sit around and just wait, right? I was going to be proactive. I've always been in entrepreneurship. My mother is an entrepreneur. I grew up in a very entrepreneurial household. So I was like, what can I do to get myself out of this funk? Right. Um, so I was like, I've always wanted to help people. And that was always my basis, is building people. So that's my foundation for everything that I do. And, one day, as I was applying for jobs and didn't get this one particular job, and I was frustrated, I was like, what the heck am I going to do in my life? Right. So with that, it was like, that was my prayer, and clear as day, God was like, all that hair on top of your head, I'm gonna need you to do something with that. So, and I just started going forth and figuring out, what could I do? Is it a tool? Is it a product? But what I could immediately start with was the items in my kitchen cabinet, right? So the items in my kitchen cabinet, and I started pulling out things that I thought would be good to moisturize my hair or deep condition my hair, and those failed miserably. So I took a seat and did some research, YouTube, read some books, saw what other people were doing, and created my first product.
So you just made a good point. You had an idea, you started pulling things out, but you realized you had to research and
Yeah,
think about, because a lot of people have that entrepreneurial mindset, but they don't realize they have to research their product to see what they need to do in order for it to be a success.
totally. Research is so, so, so super important. And I think research allows us to slow down and think through some things. Um, and it doesn't necessarily, just because at the top of my business, I started doing research, the research never stops, right?
Right.
You're always really taking a moment to pause, see where you are, and try to answer questions, or pull up big questions that will help you move forward.
Exactly. So you did some research and
Yes.
hopefully you went back to the cabinets, and then what happened?
I did. And then I got my first product, right? It was a win. The oil and water and butter and all the emollients, all that mixed together came out nice and beautiful and fluffy. I packaged it in these little Dixie cups with a little lid on it, right? And on 4th of July, I took my batch of stuff to our family picnic in the heat of 4th of July, 2013, and I passed them out. I was so excited. Passed them out to all my aunties and my mom and my grandmother and my cousins, and they all looked at it. And if I had a sound thing that had crickets, that's what I had. It was just crickets. I was like, it's hair butter. It's natural butter. And they said, is it going to burn my scalp? I said, it's natural. It's not going to burn your scalp. So they still looked at me, because they didn't identify me as being a chemist in this hair product, me doing hair, even just doing hair and making this hair product. But my auntie, who I love dearly, she was like, just rub it on your knees and elbows. And so they did. And this was my first test, right? So right there, I could have just stopped and said, hey, my family didn't give me the affirmations that I needed. No one cheered me on. No one understands me. They don't understand me. I'm not going to do it. But I didn't. You know why? It's because I had a vision. And the vision was to help people understand how to take care and love textured hair, curly, coily, kinky hair. And I could do it. So that same month, the last Saturday in July, I put up it's officially called a focus group. That's what they teach you in school, right? But I called it a Let's Talk Hair session, and 8 people RSVP'd and 16 people showed up, and
Nice.
backwards numbers. So um, it's been rolling ever since. So
I've never been able to come because it's always I have an event or a rehearsal or something the same day and same time. I've been trying to get to your event for years. I really honestly have. And I've heard such wonderful things. Tell me a little bit about how the event grew, because you had that 8 people RSVPing and then 16 showing up, to going to, I don't know, we had to put in RSVPs, buy tickets. It went from a small venue to a larger venue at YSU. So tell us a little bit about the growth of that event.
totally. So in that first year in 2013, I had a Let's Talk Hair session every month for 9 months straight. And I grew that by actually listening to the people who were attending. You know, I asked them questions. What are your hair problems? What products can I create to help you be better? Right. So when they told me, I listened, and in between those 30 days, in between events, I would create a whole brand new product to show them and bring back to them. Right. So in entrepreneurship, in the business world, listening to your clients is a number one thing. So with that said, I really never had to advertise, right?
Right.
My clients were telling folk that this is little girl out here with this curly hair making products for us, and whatever you tell her you want, she gonna make for you, and you need to come on out. So we were initially at You Deserve It, Lashery and Spa on Stadium Drive across the street from the mall. And we had maxed out with like 21 people. That's my girl Nicole. She was so awesome and amazing. So because we were growing, because we couldn't fit no more people in there no more, and we had lines at the door, we had to move it down to, where was that place? The Rose Garden and the Tyler Room. And we started packing that place out with 40 women, right? Every month, 40 new women coming in, if not more, and some of the same people coming in getting more information. And I will say, one of the days I was super impressed was when we had the day after Christmas, all these women packed out down at the Rose Garden. It was amazing. So it got to be too much because I couldn't. Now I'm back to work, right? I'm back to work. I'm producing product every month just to get to these events, right? I'm working full time. I'm trying to balance. You can't do research and development and develop the old products you had and do an event and go to work and still be halfway
Right.
somewhere, right? So I had to cut it down to where maybe we were doing one, like 3 in a year. And then eventually, and then one big one in September. And that one we were at YSU for a very long time. I want to say 3 years, 3 or 4 years. And then we moved it to the Inspiring Minds building, which is Glenwood Business Center, the summer prior. So that in and of itself was me developing a team, you know, a project manager, the person manning the table. So I actually trained my team to be able to know what the products were, how to explain them, who needs to get what, and then how to use it. So for us to move from a point where they needed me at all times to where they didn't need me was a huge step. It didn't come overnight, but through the over time it did, and it did an excellent job. So I just kept getting ideas from other places. Like we would go to Essence Fest and see how that event was run, and we would bring some ideas back, and we would go to Baltimore, and we would go to
So that's still research. That's
yeah,
still research. You're going to see how other things are happening, how they're handling it as well.
right.
Now, you were seeing your growth, and I bet that was exciting.
It
Did you
was.
have setbacks within that growth?
Good question, because there was, right? There was. I will say probably the largest setback was when I ended up leaving Youngstown State University in 2011. No,
Mhm.
when was that? Lord Jesus, that's not right. It was in 2017. 2017, I left Youngstown State University to go down and work full time at the Youngstown Business Incubator, which is where I'm at now. And doing a new job requires you to have more time in. You know, when I first started, I was working 60 and 70 hours a week, very heavily in the community, getting out as much as humanly possible, doing all kinds of extra, things. So it was that year, my business in 2000 and the next fiscal year it plummeted, straight out plummeted. But I had to learn and actually just pivot and do something different as far as when we were selling, when we were actually going out to expos, and bring it back in so that I could make sure that I was healthy, right?
Right.
And so that I could make sure that I was still healthy, but still moving forward in areas of my life because I didn't want all of that to consume and overtake me. So,
Right. You have a question. We have a question from Laura on Facebook. She asked, what advice would you give to someone who has been in the business for years, but now has lost motivation. So she owns her own business, but she's asking what happens if you start to lose that motivation?
Yeah. Um, that happens to me often, right? I think that it is a part of this journey. We're naturally going to get tired. We're naturally going to get discouraged because we don't feel as if we have done much. But I will say this. I would challenge her to go back and write down all of her successes that she's had. I do a lot of journaling, right? So I keep this handy dandy book, right? And in that handy dandy book, when I'm feeling some kind of when I'm feeling some kind of way, I write down my successes and I remember how those successes made me feel. That's one. Two, surround yourself with people who are entrepreneurs, right? And it might not be a physical surrounding, but follow on Instagram. You can follow me on Instagram if you want to. Carmella and Will is my Instagram account because we are constantly. I do teach and I motivate people, but when I am motivating people, when I'm saying these things, all of those messages come to me first, right? So her first step was saying I'm discouraged, and that's the first step to really, admitting you have a problem. And then the next step is not sitting and wallowing in that. If the vision is bigger for you, that vision is going to get you up, right? This is nothing but a speed bump, right? And I give this analogy. Y'all know here in the Youngstown metropolitan area, wherever you are, there are potholes. Y'all seen them potholes?
Tons of them, tons.
Tons of potholes, right? And we get in our car, I hit a pothole, and Jesus, take the wheel because he need to, because I busted a tire one time. But I didn't roll over and die, right? What I did is call AAA, get my car fixed, take me to get a tire, and then go home. So because I know that I had a destination to reach, right? That one little speed bump is not going to stop me from reaching a destination, from even destination, reaching my, going towards my goal, right? I'm not going to make it to the sun because that's a far way off, but I am going to drive towards it. Okay. So you got to have that vision. So if you don't have a big enough vision that gets you up in the morning, to get you moving, you gotta dream a little bit bigger. Dream big, do that, follow me. And
One point that you made, though, is making those connections.
Mhm.
Because I know I own my own business, and there are times when I'm feeling a little discouraged or I don't know what to do. I talk to you, and you're like, girl, yes. And sometimes talking to other people, they're your cheerleaders, and you're like, whoa, I didn't realize I was that awesome. But she said I was, so I guess I am. And today I spoke with someone and he was just giving me all types of advice and talking, and it just reinvigorated me because he's an entrepreneur. So
Yes.
it's talking to people who have businesses and they might not be like your business in particular, but talking to the movers and shakers sometimes reignites you to say, okay, I got to get busy. I got to get started or
Right.
keep going.
Totally. And that's exactly what it is. Because when you don't have it in you, you have to pull from somewhere else until you can get up and get moving again. So yeah, totally.
Any other advice for her before we move to the next question?
I think that's about it that I can think of. I'm trying to see what else do I do. I think that she needs to just visit her business, what her goals are, and then let's start from there. To get re-energized. And if that doesn't re-energize you, sometimes just talking to your customers can re-energize you because they are sometimes my customers, which I consider family, are my energizers. I got a text today from a really good family. My customers are Carmella Marie family. They're family, right? And she was saying how my products were teaching her how to love her hair better and how to work with it. And thank you so much for doing what you do. I was like, ooh, I
Nice.
can run a little further now. Those reviews, if they're posted or not, those are things that get you through too.
I also challenge people who are entrepreneurs to be okay with listening to feedback, whether
Mm-hmm.
positive or negative. I don't have yes people in my world. I have people who say, hey, that's just a little too much, or oh, that's not making sense, or wait, no. I love A, B, and C, but D, E, F, E, and F, you might want to tweak it a little bit. And that only helps me put out a better product. So then when I do what I do and people are raving about it, it's okay that they told me to take those other things out because now I have a great product. So sometimes we're afraid of critical feedback. You know what I mean? That feedback that's going to help us to grow, but yet we don't really want to hear it.
Okay, you can't. I'm gonna tell you this. If you ever see a person and they only have yes people around them, they're gonna fail fast, right? If you see a person who's asking you to tell me when something's not right, tell me how I can improve, it's not coming from a level of slow, low confidence. It's coming because you want to be in business for a lifetime and not a day. And that is key. So that's the decision we have to make. Do you want to be in business for a day? Then go ahead. Yes, all day. But, if not, then, surround yourself with those people who are going to be truthful with you. And I have those people, you have those people. I am grateful for those people, even though sometimes, sometimes I'd be feeling some kind of way, just to be completely honest. But I know that person is approaching me with love and concern, you know? And we need those types of people in our lives.
Right. And we need people to help balance us. Because
Yes.
I've told you numerous times, okay, Carmella, you can't do it all. Give me something. So sometimes we have to learn how to delegate because we don't want to burn out as well. So you have to have a trusted group of people at your table that you can kind of delegate information to or delegate them to get things done. Otherwise, you burn out.
Right. And I'm glad you talked about that, because really a person who has a hard time delegating, and I'm talking from personal experience, has trust issues. One, right? Two, they might not, maybe they're not sure, right? So that's something that I am constantly working on, because I say trust issues because I'll be like, Carmella, maybe that's not right. But I'm gonna think it through 1,000 times before I give it out, so I can make sure that it's right. And I might not think it all the way through to the exact end, but I want to make sure that I have done the process myself as a leader before I give it, so at least I know what to expect from that individual that I am delegating to. And that goes
But
for.
you
Mhm.
can't trust everybody with your baby though. So you have to, people have to earn their trust. You know what I
Right.
mean? You can't just meet someone like, hey, I'll help you here. Give me your banking financial information. I'll handle that. And you're like, yeah, no. Let me see that I trust you with my money and my this, and let me work with you for a while, because even like our relationship, it's grown by leaps and bounds. But you didn't know me when we first met, so half of the stuff that I do now,
Right.
probably I wouldn't have been doing back then. You
Totally.
know, it grows.
It does grow. And even with and we know, which I would say this, with Black Period that we have, there's, we had over 200 people who want to volunteer, and that's overwhelming, right? So we have this group of 200 people who want to volunteer, and then we have some more people other volunteers who are a little bit more like, hey, this is what I do. They gave us information, and it is hard to you're trying to pull out and see who has what skill set, right?
Right.
And where you can have the greatest impact. And I think that entrepreneurship is a scary situation, but I think that once we understand that we have the power to hire and fire someone, that's the other thing. Just because we bring somebody on, don't mean you got to keep them. And I think that us as people, we have to help others help themselves and let them go when it's time to go. Okay? Because it's going to help you and them. Okay? And that's empowering to that person. And that's how you have to look. So we look at this, you see this mindset. I'm helping you and I'm helping me, because if we stay like this, it's not going to be. I'm a poet. It didn't even know.
Look at you. Woo. But that touches upon a point too, though. As an entrepreneur, you have to have the strength to let people go. And you
Yes.
have to sometimes we bring our friends or our family on, but you have to have that strength to be like, hey, I love you as my friend, But
Right.
as my marketing manager, yeah, you're not doing what you need to do. So you also have to have that strength. You have to be careful of who you're bringing on and making sure that they do have some type of skill set that can um, promote your business and make your business grow. You don't bring people on just because they're a friend and they need a job.
Correct. Totally correct. Because as the leader of the business, it is not gonna do, it's not gonna do your business no good. It's not gonna do them no good, right? So I think that so when I'm looking at an individual, I'm assessing their skill set. So the first thing I actually do is write down, so what are you skilled at, right? And people will tell me what they're skilled at, and they say everything but what they're actually skilled at, right? When we collected that data for the to see who wanted to volunteer for Black Period, it was like I was like, why didn't you put down you could do marketing because you're really good at that, and why can you say you're good at business because you're a business owner, right? So it was so when I was talking to some of them, I'd be like, well, you can do this, 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 and this, and they're like, oh, I didn't know that I could do that. I go, yeah, you can. She's like, I was like, because you do, and I wrote down, I went down the resume because I was like, I saw you do this, 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 and this. And they were like, oh. So it's like, so that is a definitely empowering situation right there to be able to identify someone's skill set and show them how valuable they are and what they bring to the table. Um, because if you know what's in your tool bag, you know what you can bring to the table, and you'll know whether or not you should sit at that table or not, or if that table even is for you. So, knowing,
Um,
understanding.
Laura Neely, you
Mm-hmm.
know her, she's a photographer. She she's the Laura from the last question, but Laura, she wants to know, being an entrepreneur, what are some main things to keep in mind? If you had to have a list of some main things to keep in mind.
Ooh,
I know that's a
that's
lot, right?
question. So main things to keep in mind. I'm gonna start here. You can have it all, but you just can't have it all at the same time. Okay. I think that when we start a business, we have it's key for us to have a huge vision. That is, where do we see our business at? And that's your sunset, right? That's what you're looking at. But that's not where you start. You start at the smallest point of the triangle, which is the tip, which is where you are, so that you can learn and make small dollar mistakes versus large dollar mistakes. I would rather make a $50 mistake than a $5,000 or $50,000 mistake, right? And that's where that research comes in. So that's one. Two, this is something everybody says, you're going to get more no's than you get yeses. But the no's are necessary because the no's help you build up your strength, right? It helps you to keep going. It helps you keep pushing up, right? So if you were lifting weights and, every time you pushed up, that was a no, you couldn't set it down. It's going to make you stronger. It's going to help you keep pushing, keep pushing on. And I know people look at, we've been in business for 7 years, and it's like, people were like, "Oh, I saw you in Target. Your product's in Target." And I was like, "No, we're not in Target yet, but we're gonna get there." And I see people all around me with, as far as like hair care products, other companies that are saying we've been in business for 3 years and 5 years and 2 years, and they're in big, box retail stores. And then I sit back, and that makes me feel some kind of way, But I think I use that fuel not to burn me up, but to drive me and push me further. And I take that raw kind of, I'm in my feelings, and refine it to be able to use that in my tank to push me further. Okay. So we have to be able to identify that. I think that doesn't matter who's doing what around you. You're running this race yourself. And that is what I remind myself every day. And every day I remind myself of my successes. Because that's because I'm going to remember at all times how that success point made me feel. I think those are important because I can make product all day, every day, but it's really how I feel, how I think, and it's what's going to keep me moving. And I'm going to say this, right? Because we talk about the hustle piece, right? Everybody wants to talk about hustle and sleep 2 and 3 hours, and I was doing that. Sleeping 2 and 3 hours for 30 days ended me up in the hospital back in like 2016. It was not pretty. I was so mad because my whole family came up and saw me. I thought I was having a heart attack. I wasn't. They told me I was healthy as a horse, and it was just stress, right? So we can't continue to push our bodies on this grind mode for endless periods of time. Okay. You have to take care of yourself, your body wise, because there's no sense in taking care of your body and then you dying, and then you can't even really fully see your vision or enjoy your fruits of your labor, right?
Exactly.
And you'll function better when you take a 30-minute walk every day. You'll reduce the amount of your ability to die from a preventable disease by 50% by walking 30 minutes every day. And that was something I had to deal with and not make time for it, because I'm not making time for it. It's a do or die situation,
Right.
right? And this is me talking to me, and I'm hoping it's helping somebody else. But you have to do that. And once you value that, you start seeing things in a whole different light. It's a whole
Right.
game for you. So
I worked out 45 minutes before this session, and I'm gonna call him a trainer, but my friend, he's just like, how do you feel? You're gonna be hyped and ready for your interview. You ready? And actually, I feel a ton better after working out. And people don't realize, they're like, I don't have time. I'm tired. I'm this and that. You can work out. And I also post videos of, there's a friend of mine who does chair aerobics. So if you can't get up and move and walk in those type of ways, you can do the chair aerobics and just move your arms and legs to music and things like that. So you're talking about that health element. Let's move on to Black Period, because wellness is one aspect of the three for that group. What is that all about? And how did it come about?
So powering through entrepreneurship is exactly kind of what Black Period is. And the health and wellness piece is important. And it's it's for, I understand from a Black woman's perspective, 137 Black women die every day in the United States from preventable health diseases. And it's been proven by Girl Trek that you can lower your risk of dying from those preventable diseases by 50%. So, me personally, I didn't have a healthy, I worked out. Oh, I haven't worked out because of COVID, because I haven't been to the gym. So I need to find a way to still be in safe physically, right? Outdoors is probably about the safest place, and you can social distance really, really well and get in a good exercise. So we walk with Black Period. You can walk every day by yourself, and usually on Saturdays, we try to come together in groups in various places across Youngstown and Mill Creek Park and Wynn Park, or your neighborhood, and walk. And in our walking, we're talking about, systemic racism or what we did today, or just our stories, our life, so that we can talk to each other. Because we haven't, we're talking online, but even when we're walking, like say if I'm walking at Lake Glacier, we do 9 a.m.s on Saturdays in groups. I do Lake Glacier or Wick Park or wherever. I talk and speak to the strangers that walk past me, because I want to see people, right? I want to make sure they know that I'm acknowledging them, because we talk to the people we know, but it's more important that we talk to the people that we don't know. Because as a
Right.
community, we have to take note of those around us by acknowledging their presence and saying, I see you. I see you, what you're doing. I see that you are important and you're of value. And I'm going to take enough time to say hello to you.
Right.
So that's kind of what we do.
So tell me a little bit more about the other elements of Black Period and how it came about.
Yeah, totally. So we sell T-shirts, right? We sell T-shirts, and those 50% of the profits are going to be invested back into the Black community. And so far to date, we have helped 3 businesses directly, where we have financially invested into their company to help them, right, grow whatever small barrier they had. And also, with that said, so that's the business and economic side of things. We also have a scholarship that we just started fundraising for, the Social Justice Scholarship and Arlene Floyd for Success for Black Student Scholarship and Grant at Youngstown State University, where we're selling passports, which I don't have on me right now, for $20 to raise money for one full ride scholarship and then several small scholarships to help Black students advance. Now, you're buying this passport, but it actually has Black owned restaurants in it. So when you take this thing, get it stamped, when you spend $20 or more of food, that increases your chances of being in this drawing, right? So you're supporting Black owned restaurants in the area, and you're supporting higher education of Black students. And it's a wonderful thing that we're helping to empower the Black owned businesses, and we're making sure we set up the help to be a part of the success of Black students at Youngstown State University. So we're doing that in that particular nutshell. And then we're also looking at, and I will say, we're also doing voter registration. We did that at Juneteenth this summer. We'll be doing that again when we go to the Youngstown Fleet the next 2 months. And then even underneath the health and wellness, I'll say we've been working with Ladybugs Farms, or Sophia Bugs, who's awesome and amazing. And she's been gathering together a list of Black farmers where we could fully support them, right? Supporting Black farmers and getting them to the point where, we can help them with lawn care so they can take more time to be in there and take care of their garden so they can sell more to their line of distribution. And we're doing a solar cooking, and understanding how to cook with different herbs and vegetables that we normally don't cook with, like bok choy. If you see my page, I had some bok choy last week. So we're doing a whole lot. So business and economics, health and wellness, and then civic engagement. And all three of those are important for the success of a business, really, right? So a business that's civically engaged, by a business that is, am I civically engaged? We'll give an example of Susie's. Susie's was hosting, what was that? The podcast, the club. You know what I'm talking about?
No.
Oh,
sorry.
The City Club. They were hosting City.
Oh yeah.
Every
City
Monday,
Club.
right? So they were hosting City Club, but they were selling hot dogs and drinks and all that stuff. So that was very big for them, right? And so I call that civic engagement because they're talking about different topics there. They had the space set up for that. And that was a big night on their Monday night when they normally wouldn't get anybody in. So there's different ways to be civically engaged and still make money in the community. And we want to be able to eventually help different businesses see how to do that. Once we get back to normal, where we can actually have bigger events, obviously. And then healthy food. We want healthy options, and then just business in general.
Right. So what's on the pipeline next for Miss Carmella Marie Williams?
Good question. I will say this. And that's a really good question. So this is my journal that I started writing, and I've had it for a while, and I purposely didn't write it because it has the word imagine on it, right? The word imagine. And I was at a point where I couldn't really dream. I wasn't really dreaming, right? I didn't feel like I had anything to necessarily dream about. And most recently, I've started writing in this book. I've started writing visions, right? So I've been writing in this particular piece to get me out of my funk for the question that was asked earlier. And I write the following. I started off like this. I see myself being successful by doing the following. And then I write down small tasks, if it's just getting orders out or making this particular product, something small, short term, and then something a little bit more longer term. I see myself really growing and evolving Carmella Marie more. I see myself being able to help the community as much as humanly possible. I see myself being continuing to be a leader that's growing, right? I see myself having a balanced life as well. I see myself not working till 12 midnight every night. My best bud, I have this kick where I have a list of movies now that I have to, I not have to, but I watch, because I would purposely not allow myself to have fun because my tasks weren't done. And that wasn't doing me any good, right? It wasn't doing me any good because it just wasn't. So now I am allowing myself to have moments of enjoyment. And my normal self would have said, girl, I'm gonna be worldwide domination as pertains to the advancement of, that's my normal self. Worldwide domination. Worldwide domination is coming, but that is not my next immediate goal. That's my vision. Where I'm at right now is I'm going to begin to enjoy this journey. I'm 30. How old am I, Lord? I'm 37, going on 38 years old. I ain't in no 20s no more, I want to be able to build more people so I can duplicate myself so that this work can grow and be greater. And I am more settled in who I am. And I know that success is inevitable just as long as I keep moving forward. That is all that matters. Whatever that forward is, not whatever that forward is, but however the pace is, I just need to move forward.
Right. And keeping that balance is necessary.
It's so necessary.
I was asked, could you share the website where people can purchase the passport? How can people get the passport?
You can go to Black period, and that is Black is spelled out fully, and period is PERIODT.com. And there's two things. There's one where you can purchase the passport, and you'll see it's for $22. That includes all the shipping and credit card fees. And then there's one just for a donation if you want to just do a donation, and it's on there. If you have further questions on it, you can email Alicia at penguinpassports@gmail.com, because some people are purchasing large bundles of them, and we can deliver large bundles to individuals.
Penguin passports at what?
penguinpassports@gmail.com.
And I'm putting it into the chat so that you guys can find that.
Okay.
What's www.period? Is that a website?
No,
Our website?
period.com.
Shantae, it's blackperiod.com, so that's not correct.
Yeah.
All right, someone typed in, but they typed in the wrong thing.
Oh, yeah, Black period, BLACKPERIODT.
Yeah, type that in. Okay, good. You're an alumnus and alumni from YSU, and I'm going backwards. This is really a backwards question. I probably should have started here first. So you graduated from YSU. Can you briefly just give us, okay, I graduated, what did you do then? And then what was your next step? And then, so can you kind of give us from 2005 all the way up to 2020, some of your steps? Because people are watching who are graduating or they are new graduates and they're looking like, okay, well, how do I even start? What did you do when you graduated?
Yeah, so it started before I graduated, right? So when I was at YSU, I couldn't find a normal job, right? So I used my federal work study to find a job on campus. You can use that and work anywhere with anybody, just as long as they sign off on it. You have federal work study, one. And I worked in the most amazing departments and had crazy jobs where I was flipping through magazines and doing research, right? So I was always creative and innovative in my way of making money. Legal. Creative,
yeah,
right?
Legal. We have to put that in there.
So that was that. And I can remember I ran into Arlene Floyd at a meeting, and she was a firecracker, still is to this day, love her. And she was talking really what I always wanted to hear. And she had this energy about her. And I walked up to her, and this was probably a year before graduation. And it was maybe a year and a half before graduation, 2 years. And I told her, I'm going to work for you one day. And she was like, who is this crazy girl? And I ended up working for her as a student. And that mentor, she became my mentor. I had several other mentors, Rich Delicio, Bart Orton, who just really, really helped me through college, having people in my life. But I ended up working for her, and she asked me a question because my major was was management. Excuse me. She asked me what I was going to manage, and I didn't have an answer for her. So I switched my major to marketing management because I should have had a minor, but no one told me at the time. But I had skill set, and my skill set was I could sell a sock to a horse. I'm a very good salesperson. My mother raised me to be that way. And I ended up working for her. She hired me as a full-time coordinator. And as everybody retired, I got more and more responsibility and got promoted. When I got promoted and was assistant director for a very long time, And she was instrumental in training me, right? She was always pushing us for professional development as I worked with her. So now I graduated in 2005. I'm definitely full time by like 2006, right? She find you a place where they are willing to invest in you because they believe in you. Okay. And Miss Arlene Floyd, we had professional development every year, and I learned so much. Um, and I won't take it back for anything. I learned a lot from her and from the experiences. And then I grew. I kept growing. I kept learning. She kept giving me new things to do and to conquer, and giving it to me without looking over my shoulder, because she trusted me. Finds a place where someone they trust you to do the work, to get the work done. um so I worked there for 12 years. And then I was like, I need to look somewhere else, right? I think 12 years is a little long, but I think it's because I was comfortable in that situation. It was my first job out of college. I got a promotion. I was traveling all the time. It was awesome, right? I would say that I started looking because I wanted to be challenged again, because I could do my work with my eyes closed. So there was no more challenge for me. So I didn't have the skill set necessarily when I went in as far as counseling people. So what I did while I was at YSU is I started counseling people in my downtime, right? So when you don't have that experience, you create for yourself the experience, right? So I just started, because people wanted to know how I did it and all this stuff. So I put that on my resume underneath Carmella Marie, because I started it then. This is, I do business counseling, I do da da da, and I did, and it was totally legit. And people actually started businesses because they were just simply coming and being around me. So when I got hired, it was a no-brainer. It was a no-brainer that I had a vision, I had drive, and we moved. I will say the average individual stays at a job nowadays about 3 years, right? 3 to 5 years. People aren't staying at jobs for 30 years anymore. So times have changed. And sometimes the only way up is through moving, right? If there's no thing. So you have to kind of just roll with the punches, and know when it's time. I will say that know when it's time, know when you've learned all the lessons that you need to learn, and then take those lessons and transfer that skill set into your next journey. So,
And then that's where Carmella Marie became, and then you moved on to
yes,
Black Period.
I did.
Okay, so we're coming to the end of our time.
Okay.
Is there anything that you would like to leave the audience with? Any messages you would like to end with? And I just have to make a point of something that you just said. You said to go to a place where they will invest in you. And I remember you telling my son that when he came down for YBI for their Shark Tank
Yeah.
project, and I was talking to you about him possibly going to another school. And you said, make sure you go to a place where they invest in you. And so when you just said that right now, I was like, she said that before years ago, and she still lives by that motto. But again, is there any last message that you would like to leave with our audience today?
Yeah. Some action steps, actually. I challenge you to go and sit down and not imagine, but sit down and write all your skill sets down, every single last one of them. If you are a female or whoever, if you're running a house, you got kids, you married, you're balancing checkbook, you are basically the CEO of an entire organization, right? Those are skills. Those are valuable skills that can be transferred. Two, I want you to sit down and I want you to imagine the following, right? Ask yourself the following: what would it feel like, and what would you do if you were fully supported? What would you do? And then from that question, I want you to dream, right? Um, and I'm gonna leave you with this. The reason why I'm telling you to dream is because we were born to grow, right? We came out the womb, peeing, crying, pooping, eating, and our only goal in life was to grow. And then as children, we were excited and everything was new. And we just, we had dreams of what ice cream would taste like If it were blue, you could, because mommy gave me white ice cream last time. There's all these things. We have to grow. We have to continuously grow. Somewhere along the line, someone told us to stop dreaming because those were too big and frivolous ideas. And we sat in our place, we soaked, and we soured. And now there are miserable people in the United States of America who stopped dreaming, who stopped imagining, who stopped daydreaming. Those times when we have nothing to do are the best times for you to sit and imagine the vision for your life. And once you do that, the level of excitement, the level of energy, your ambition, all the things you're doing, you're going to get that energy to continue on and to run on. And you're going to see yourself growing and wanting to find out new information. But it all starts with a question of, what would I do if I was fully supported and money weren't an issue? And write that stuff down and then see what comes out. And don't be afraid to start at the smallest point to achieve those things, because we're not trying to get there tomorrow. We want to learn how to enjoy the journey towards achieving that goal. And that, my dear, is entrepreneurship.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Carla Marie Williams of Carla Marie Williams Hair Care Products of Black Period. We thank you so much for being part of this alumni series.
Thank you.
I'm Jada Jackson, Senior Lecturer at YSU, owner and Director of One-to-One Communication Consulting. Thank you so much for joining in today on Facebook Live. And we hope to hear you, have you come and join us for our next alumni series.
Definitely.
Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. And thank you all. Thank you, Jada.
You're welcome.